Wait.
It's very technical. We have a clicker.
Yeah. I hope the batteries will help us.
The hold music stopped.
No, can you please play it again?
Pop, pop. That is not the one.
Thank you. I think we can start?
Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you, Ricardo, for the introduction. Today, we will talk about community. We will talk about being leaders, hopefully. We will talk about open source, of course, and cats. I don't know if everyone can see the cat here, but basically, think about the cat as us, even though we have only one. Oh, it works. So, Ricardo's already introduced us, but I'm Valeria. By the day, I'm a full stack developer at Jointly. And when the sun goes down, I try to follow my many interests, as Ricardo said. I define myself as an atypical dev because I really like people as much talking to computers, and cats will be very present in our presentation. If you know us, I think that you can already say that we are very passionate about sustainability. I'm the tech lead of one of the working group of the TAG Environmental Sustainability in the CNCF, and I'm really passionate about sustainability and accessibility.
Yeah, and I'm Claire. You've already heard from me earlier today. I also have far too many interests, and this is how I ended up as a site reliability engineer. I kind of found that as a software dev, I had a lot of other interests. I also started off as a chemist at university doing environmental science as well. So pulling all of that together brought me to the technical advisory group for environmental sustainability as part of the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, as run by the Linux Foundation. It's a very long name. I also have been running communities for quite a while, but I've been looking for, like a tech community I could help with. So I've said there I like to share knowledge and help others succeed and build friendly and diverse communities, and hopefully that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. So we will divide our presentation into a couple of chapters, and the first one is basically having the confidence to say yes when you have the possibility and join a community. We will tell our stories. I will start with mine. This is how I thought I could be in the next 10 years. So telling everything I knew about technology to cats. And this is because I'm a very introvert person, even though I'm on the stage and I can see all of you. And so in my mind, aside from the imposter syndrome that's always there, I just couldn't join a community as an introvert person, of course. And why? Because when you're an introvert, you think that when you tell your point of view, that point of view is not as smart as the others. And everyone else in the room can tell something that's smarter or something that's more interesting for others. And when you join a community, you have to fight that thought. And this is basically what happened for me. I had a person that told me, just do it and go there. And when I started in joining a community, which was the TAG, I thought that, okay, when I talk to people, when I tell my idea, that idea is valued and people actually listen to me. And also, I just wanted to show this to you. I had a spoiler. I made a spoiler for me, but yeah. That person was like, do that. I think that you will be good joining a community. We'll have interesting things to say. So, yeah, do it. And when you join a community, you hopefully find a person of reference. We will talk a lot about mentors, because when you have a person of reference in a community, that person of reference is not just someone you can imitate, but it's also someone who you talk to when you have ideas and you're like, oh, I don't know how to say those ideas, so people find it interesting. And those people can give you a feedback, which is very, very important in a community. And I just had to learn to step out of my comfort zone. Don't think too much about things. People actually don't really care if you are saying like super things. Like, people actually listen to you and maybe do not agree, but people usually in communities are very welcoming. And when you fight that fear of talking to people, actually, the other side is like some kind of a rainbow with birds and like the jingle that was played before. And cats, yeah. And also, one thing that I missed before is that for me, joining a community was like my way of contributing to open source. I've always had difficulties in contributing to open source in a more classical way, so like opening GitHub issues and writing code. Not that I'm like a bad developer, hopefully, but it wasn't just my way of contributing. I just wanted to talk to people and like organize events and make like more people things. So, and then when I joined a community, I found that contributing to open source became easier. So we actually opened so many GitHub issues. We will see later. And the last thing is that a community, when you join a community, you actually find a place that for you feels like a home. And like, you find so many friends. Like Claire, we found each other actually in a community, and now we're on the stage just like friends. Yeah. I think you can introduce yourself.
Yes. So my experience started off a bit more like this. 5 years ago, when I was a graduate, stepping into, from a sciencey background into tech, and just kind of going, do people actually know what they're doing? I'm not sure. I was really struggling with a lot of imposter syndrome. I think when you come from a different background, sometimes it can be very, I'm lacking that bit of information, and like finding people that will happily share that with you and teach is quite hard sometimes. I was also kind of lacking support, so I started to look for a community of more like-minded people. I think open source was where I gravitated to. People tend to be quite friendly. Communities really need contributors, which I think helps, because people are really looking for somebody that's gonna, want to help out and be quite driven. I wasn't really looking to lead. As I said, I've done a lot of that elsewhere, but I had transitioned in those 5 years to somebody who was a bit more confident to say, yeah, why not? I'll have a go. So my takeaways and the ways that I got here are, firstly, I transitioned to being a site reliability engineer. I think that learning to fail is a massive principle of SRE. You take calculated risks. You spend your time figuring out how you can actually fail and learn from it, post-mortems. When you apply that to your everyday life, you start to be able to fail more easily. Because even if I mess up right here on this stage, next time I'll learn how not to do that. My next point was, don't underestimate the value of conference networking. Great idea to talk to the people in this room. Lots of these people will have the key to your next opportunity, or keynote earlier, come and speak, tell them things. This is really convenient for me, and is how I got into the position I'm in now, because I just took the opportunity to talk to somebody. And the folks in open source welcomed and guided me with enthusiasm. People added me to channels. They told me how I could get involved. I think that kind of openness really took me to somebody that's a bit more confident to stand here. I think 5 years ago, I would have cried if I had to do this. I also found a community of like-minded and friendly people, as Valeria has already said. And I found a really great mentor. I think that he took me from a position that was really dampening my confidence, somewhere where I wasn't able to freely be myself, and showed me how I could be. He kind of gave me the confidence to go and do other things, and became a sounding board when I had new things I wanted to do and questions. I think he really is like a champion for me. And if you can find somebody like that when you're feeling a little unsure, they can be really beneficial. And they can also, as I said, take you out of situations where you're just not feeling as confident as you could be. And that kind of all led me to change in the 5 years to somebody that's a bit more able to say yes, fail, have a go. And I think that's what ends up being good leadership. Some of the things and the why of why you might want to step up in a community, we as leaders have managed to do an environmental sustainability week with over 20 different countries participating. We have learned new skills, become speakers, meetup organizers. The tag also works really closely with a lot of CNCF projects trying to improve sustainability. And a lot of the big names are people that we end up working with and networking with, lots of people that care about sustainability. We also have people talking at conferences, we have huge meetups, we have people speaking on podcasts, and we have lots of meetups in person.
And please look at this slide. There's an Easter egg. We give you like 5 seconds, and later in the day you can tell us which is the Easter egg.
Yeah, if you look really closely, there's 2 things that are kind of a miss, and if you know how Paris looks, you'll know why.
Yeah, 5 seconds have passed, so.
Cool. So open source communities need proactivity. We've kind of given you the intro, what our situations were, but how can you get involved? Firstly, decide how you can help. How much time do you have to spend? Communities need people that can invest their time. If you don't have a ton, you can still help out by leading a small feature. You can pick up just anything that your skills and passions align with. If you're somebody who really knows how to build a community or write documentation, or you see an event that could happen, just step up and say, hey, I'd like to have a go. You can also mentor new people. So if you're somebody who is in a community where you need a new leader, but you don't have enough time, you can do it for a brief amount of time whilst you teach somebody else how they can take it on for you. There are also many different ways to lead. I think this one is a really key thing. It's very different in open source communities to maybe your typical career, where your role is very set in stone and you're trying to progress in your career. These are all volunteer-led positions generally, and that means that you're more leading and collaborating together. It's really important to remember that you can lead by example. You don't necessarily have to be the elected chair of this thing. You can just go out and start saying yes and showing other people and being active contributor and making the community very friendly. I would say top tip, find a leader you're inspired by and figure out what they do well and how you might be able to emulate it. Perhaps they are somebody that just does that one thing really well and somebody else does that, and you can create your own leadership style from that. I wanted to earmark as well that this is why diversity is really important. We get a lot of benefit from a lot of different perspectives in leadership, but people often don't feel very willing to step up when they don't see somebody like them. So we're hoping, here today, maybe we can inspire a few more people. I would recommend if you have other people, again, be that mentor or champion for them, speak up for them. That's really beneficial. And the key thing is how you can find those leadership opportunities when you've decided what you want to do and how you're going to be able to do it. I would recommend starting with the unofficial, the leading by example. This is things like raising more PRs, or maybe you have an idea and you suggest it to somebody. Take ownership of it, finish that, show that you can complete something in your community. People will then be more willing, because you've already demonstrated how you're going to be a good leader, to accept you when opportunities come up in your community. And they will, because this is, again, mostly volunteer. People might have to move on. It's not like you sign up and that's it for life. So they might come up in your own community and you can kind of move on. Alternatively, if you're really looking for an opportunity and you can't find it, you can keep looking for communities that are starting to dwindle. Even if your community is very active, if a leader moves on and there's nobody else willing to step up, it can start to kind of dwindle. You can maybe take your expertise and passion and help somebody that needs it. Alternatively, and I wouldn't recommend doing this if you're just looking to be a leader, this isn't a great path, but if you haven't found your community yet, or where your passion sits, or maybe you found a space in open source that just is missing, you can be the person that creates that community and really leads it from the start and the ground up, and that is also a really good opportunity as well. So moving on from kind of like the how can we do this and the why can we do this, we're going to pass the baton over to Valeria, who is going to introduce the what.
And of course, I'm Pikachu and you're Eevee.
I've been told this. I did not have a choice.
There's no choice, yeah. Okay, so Claire already introduced the fact that when you join a community, then at some point, maybe you become a leader of the community, just like how happened with us. And we wanted to give you a toolkit. Um, Please, this is just our idea and just how we would describe a leader. We are, of course, open for other suggestions, and if you agree with us, then we can also discuss that. Yeah, I imagine a leader just like this cat. I don't know if everyone can see that, but yeah. So, leadership is not just about having more responsibilities than other people in the community. A leader is someone who inspires others, is someone who empowers the other people in the community, is also someone who guides the community and the path of the community itself. Is someone who motivates. We've already said before, we talked about mentors and so on. Is someone who makes decisions because someone has to. Is someone who communicates effectively. When you're a leader, you have to tell people what are your thoughts and what you want the community to become. And so you have to communicate effectively for all the people that are already in the community and also to the other people that maybe will join the community. But mostly a leader is someone who cultivates an environment where others can grow. So leadership is not just about responsibility. We think that this is the most important point of being a leader, actually.
Yeah, I don't think either of us would be here without it.
No, yeah. But how you become a leader and what are your tasks as a leader? As a leader, we said before that you kind of become a pillar for the community, not because without you the community doesn't exist, but because you are like the point of reference for the other people. And what you can do to become a pillar for the community. We highlighted some examples of the things that we think that are very important for a leader to do. And so a leader has to make sure that everyone feels supported and has the opportunity to contribute. Is someone who creates a friendly and welcoming environment. Is also someone who ensures that the community stays true to its values and goals for people that are already in the community and for people who will maybe look for a community. But also is someone who has to understand that as a leader, you have to continue, even if things get slow. We talked about it before. Community activities are volunteer activities, not work, so things can become, can get slow. And for example, our community is actually experiencing restructuring, and this could be an opportunity where people stop doing things. But we actually think that it is an opportunity for our community to become maybe something else, maybe something more interesting for others. And so keep it up, even if things change or get slow. And we imagine leaders as this pillar with such fancy high heels. The second point we wanted to highlight was about your reflection on your skills. And so you have to look at the mirror. We said before that we had added many cats, but we also like raccoons, so
I think I do
why
this
not?
in the morning every day.
Yeah. And what do we mean with that? As a leader, leadership is not a destination. It's just the start of something new. And it is actually a continuous journey of improvement. So you have to ask for feedbacks for other people in the community or other mentors maybe, and you have to constantly ask yourself if you're doing things in a correct way, or if you can change something so the community gets better. You have to inspire future leaders because hopefully at some point, maybe if you have to step out of the community or if you have other things in your life that make you stop doing that leadership activities, hopefully someone else can get that position. So, and how you do that? You have to constantly create leadership opportunities so other people can try, and maybe they will like doing leadership activities. You have to also recognize and amplify emerging talent in the community. You have to constantly look at the other people in the community and understand what their skills are. So maybe they like more speaking to other people, or they like writing code more, or everything else. But also as a leader, you have to be transparent about the challenges you've overcome and communicate them to other people. Last but not least, you have to know how to collaborate and delegate. This is because as a leader, maybe we tend to think that we are the only people that can do that single thing because we have the responsibility. We are not alone as leaders. And as we've said before, community activities are volunteer, so please prevent burnout, both for yourself and for the other people in the community. And the last point is to aim for distributed responsibility, so you don't have a single point of failure in the community. Because even though one single person maybe cannot join the meeting doesn't have to stop, it have to continue. And so we've come to the end. So the thing that we want to say to you is that communities actually need every one of you, because everyone here can contribute in a way, which is talking to the other people, giving ideas, or writing even a support message.
Yeah. So this one's Valeria is the cat, and I'm the person saying please.
Yeah,
but my call to action for you is just to figure out what your community needs now and start there. There's no point in kind of doing something that isn't needed, and I'm sure there is something somewhere. I think that Jennifer Petoff, she wrote recently, she wrote the SRE handbook, if you don't know, but she wrote a really good article that was more career-based but very relevant here. And in that, she references a quote that says, "A door is never closed to those who know how to knock." I recommend that here, you're knowing how to knock is just having the confidence to say yes, and communities will disappear without you. True fact. We also have collated a couple of resources. The Jennifer Petoff thing that I mentioned is on here. And these have all been reviewed and approved by Valeria's cat Mochi, so you have to read them. And that's all, folks. We clearly had the same idea.
A lot of experiences shared with our guests. So, here I am to ask you, if anyone has some question, here I come.
How would you say joining a SIG or joining one of these technical communities, how did it change your approach to your technical contributions? How you choose them, how you discuss them, what you do before you make a commit?
Yeah, I think from joining the technical advisory group has kind of changed my perspective in the way that, like, I don't actually do a lot of the code-based commits. I kind of delegate those to other people. So for reference, I run the working group advocacy group, and then Valeria is my technical lead. So does a lot of the website-based things. I think compared to at work, it's a lot more community-led, so there'll be a lot more discussion. I think there's a lot more looking for information coming from the community and people who have more varied ideas than we do. I think it's a lot slower too in some ways, but more beneficial because we actually spend the time together to really think about it.
Yeah, we actually have many meetings in the community. Our working group meets every 2 weeks, and we have 30 minutes to talk about a list of tasks or a list of things that we want to do in the future and months, or if we have a big event such as KubeCon, we have basically a lot to discuss because we have booths and people that will talk about the topics and so on. So we actually write not much code, but we have to constantly update our website, the website of the community, and basically make sure that everyone is aligned to the activity of the community.
Yeah. I think also from like after joining the tag, my interactions with other communities maybe changed too. So knowing how much I'm just begging for anyone, literally, please help me, then I was more willing to be like, hey, I saw this bug, here's a PR, thanks. Because I have been that person that's just like, yes, please help.
So, any other question? Okay, so it's time for your trophies.
My turn now.
Get ready.
Do we have the jingle? I really like the jingle. Sorry.
Ba, 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 ba.
Oh, thank you.
Round of applause.